Before I begin, I would love to say these are two beautiful women, irrespective of differences in their physique. However, if you're just like me, I would love to keep maintaining an active and youthful energy as you navigate aging. Then stick with me as I guide you through number one exercise we may need to implement into our lifestyle. You see, as we age, we experience a natural decline in our muscle mass and strength, a condition known as sarcopenia, whilst our body weight and fat mass increases. This decrease in muscle mass and strength reduces our working ability and balance as we get older, increasing our risk of falls, fractures, and injuries. The rate and extent of muscle mass loss typically varies based on several factors, including genetics, lifestyle, and physical activity levels. Research shows that this process typically begins after the age of 30, with the average rate of muscle mass loss approximately 3 to 8% per decade after this age. This is where our number one exercise and lifestyle modification comes in: strength training. Strength training, also known as resistance training or weight training, is a type of physical exercise which involves using resistance to improve muscular strength and endurance by inducing muscle contraction. This resistance can be obtained from various sources, including free weights such as dumbbells and barbells, resistance bands, weight machines, and medicine balls. Now, if building muscle strength and preventing from falls and fractures doesn't have you sold on why you should start strength training, then here are other benefits. 1. It helps with blood sugar control. Our skeletal muscle is the largest mass of insulin-sensitive tissue. So an increase in muscle mass through resistance training, basically strength training, improves glycemic control, which is beneficial for not only managing but also preventing type 2 diabetes. The third additional benefit with strength training is it enhances bone density. It stimulates bone growth and helps prevent osteoporosis, a condition where the bones are brittle or basically fragile, putting the individual at risk of fractures. The last additional benefit with strength training I'll be speaking on is one I'm sure we ladies are particularly excited or will be excited about, which is the rejuvenation of our skin. Our skin is the largest organ in our body and naturally undergoes aging as well. However, a 16-week research conducted on middle-aged women last year showed that strength training actually helps increase dermal thickness, which is very important in preventing wrinkles and sagging of our skin. Now, if we provided such significant changes in middle-aged women in their 40s and 50s just within 16 weeks, imagine the benefit it could provide if adopted long-term or earlier on in life. So how do we go about strength training? With strength training, the basis of the exercise is promoting movement, strength, and power within the muscle or group of muscles with the aim of achieving upper and lower body movement, push and pull movement, and rotation. Our training equally needs further direction in order to get the most out of it. First off is order. It's crucial that strength training is done before other workouts, such as cardio, because not doing this will deplete our energy reserve, making our muscles fatigue and consequently reducing our strength and power, making it difficult to lift heavier weights or complete the same number of sets and reps, which we'll be discussing later on in the video, as we would if we were fresh. Also, being fatigued before we get the chance to carry out our strength training negatively impacts our form, increasing our risk of injury and decreasing the effectiveness of our training. The second thing we need to look at is intensity, also known as load. With regards to load, current research shows that high and moderate load resistance training results in greater muscular strength improvement and increased 1 repetition maximum strength. If you don't know what that means, let me break it down. For strength training, loads are categorized based on the percentage of one's 1 repetition maximum, also known as 1 RM, which is the maximum amount of weight one can lift for 1 complete repetition of a given exercise. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be focusing on high load resistance training and moderate load resistance training, because as earlier mentioned, research shows that they both result in greater muscular strength improvement and increased 1 repetition maximum strength in comparison to low load. So when it comes to high load resistance training, it means that you're going to be performing 80 to 100% of your 1 repetition maximum. So take for example, your 1 repetition maximum for a squat is determined or set at 100 kg. So your training load is going to be 80% of your 1 repetition maximum, which is 80 kg, or 100% of your 1 RM, being 100 kg. So in order to do or perform high load resistance training, you're going to be training with either 80 kg of weight or 100 kg of weight. However, for moderate load resistance training, you're going to be performing 60 to 80% of your 1 repetition maximum. Now, for example, maintaining the same exercise, squat, and a set 1 repetition maximum of 100 kg. Your training load for moderate load resistance training is going to be 70% of your 1 repetition maximum, which is 70 kg, or 80% of your 1 repetition maximum, which is 80 kg. So either go to between 70 to 80 kg. But don't forget, is 60 to 80% of 1 RM. So you can either train with 60% of your 1 RM, which is 60 kg, 70 kg, or 80 kg in order to perform moderate load resistance training. The next thing we're going to be looking at is repetition, also called reps, which is the number of times an exercise is performed in a single set. So if you like to focus on high load resistance training, you need to perform 1 to 6 repetitions in one set. So taking for example, doing bicep curls. So with high load resistance training, you need to be performing 1 to 6 repetitions of bicep curls in one set. However, if you're going to focus on moderate load resistance training, you need to perform 6 to 12 repetitions in one set. Using the same example of doing bicep curls, it requires you to perform 6 to 12 repetitions of bicep curls in one set. Now moving on to set. For high load resistance training, you need to perform 3 to 5 sets in order to achieve maximal strength. For example, completing 5 sets of 10 reps of squat. However, if you're going to be focusing on moderate load resistance training, then you can perform 3 to 4 sets. For example, completing 4 sets of 10 reps of squat. Next up is volume. Now, volume is the total amount of weight lifted in a session, and it's calculated as the weight lifted multiplied by the number of repetitions, which is then multiplied by the number of sets performed. For example, performing 4 sets of 8 reps of bench press at 70 kg. Now, to calculate our volume, we start off with the volume per set, which is 70 kg multiplied by the number of repetitions, 8, which gives us 560 kg. We then take this 560 kg and multiply it by the number of sets we perform, which gives us a total of 2,240 kg. So the volume of work we put in performing 4 sets of reps of bench press at 70 kg is 2,240 kg. Next up, we need to look into our rest interval. Now, this is the amount of rest time recommended between sets and exercise. For heavy load resistance training, it's recommended 3 to 5 minutes. However, if you're focusing on moderate load resistance training, then you're looking to allocate 1 to 2 minutes for your rest intervals. If you've been following, you find that with heavy load resistance training, we're lifting heavy weights, doing low reps, and taking long rest periods. This helps us build maximum strength and power. In contrast, with moderate load resistance training, we're lifting moderate weights, doing higher reps, and taking moderate rest. This, however, promotes muscle growth and improves general strength. Last thing we're going to be looking at to guide our strength training is frequency. That is, how often we train each muscle group per week. It's typically best to choose based off your recovery period. That is, the time it takes for you to recover from soreness. You can also choose to split your routine into upper and lower body workout days, respectively, rather than full body resistance training. I'm going to be ending with 3 common myths surrounding strength training. The first and most common being, strength training is only for men. As I already mentioned in the beginning of the video, both sexes naturally undergo a decline of muscle mass. So do not let people, be it a man or woman, deter you from taking charge of your health and attaining the best version of yourself. 2. Strength training makes a woman look like a man. Sadly, this is yet another common myth and fear faced by women who are passionate about taking charge of their health, but decide against it for fear that they will no longer look attractive and feminine. Rather, strength training actually helps us women build lean muscle mass to support our naturally aging body and provide us with muscular strength that makes daily activities easier, such as lifting, carrying, and climbing the stairs, contributing to an overall better quality of life amongst other health benefits as earlier mentioned in the video. The third of the myths being menstrual cycle affects strength training. It was presumed and proposed in the past that because we women go through different phases in our menstrual cycle, driven by different hormones, then this ultimately resulted in varying outcomes with strength training. These are trainers and individuals scheduling their workouts around certain phases of the menstrual cycle. However, recent research shows that developing strength training schedules based on cyclical hormonal changes is not an evidence-based approach. In other words, there's no significant evidence to support this prejudiced thought. Thanks for watching, and please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.